Welcome back to RNG Small Ball. This offseason has been one of the most active in recent memory, and we're breaking it down over 3 episodes. Part 1 is about the two trades that set everything else in motion. Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Miami Heat, and the Jaylen Brown for Paul George swap between the Celtics and 76ers. Let's start with Giannis, since this is the trade that everything else was built around. After a year of speculation about whether Milwaukee would actually move a two-time MVP, the Bucks sent Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis to Miami. In return, Milwaukee got Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparas Giannakis, the number 13 pick in this year's draft, first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, a 2030 pick swap, and a 2033 second-rounder. This is a full rebuild for Milwaukee. They're trading a top 5 talent for a collection of promising but unproven pieces and draft capital, which tells you the front office decided the current core had hit its ceiling. Hero is a legitimate scorer who can now be the clear number 1 option for the Bucks. Ware is a young center with real upside as a stretch big, and the picks give Milwaukee flexibility they haven't had in almost a decade. It's a coherent plan, even if it's a hard one, for the fanbase to accept after years of contending. For Miami, the logic is more straightforward. Antetokounmpo is a top 5 player when healthy, and pairing him with Miami's infrastructure in a hero-sized hole now open in the backcourt gives the Heat a real shot at contending again. The fit questions are worth asking, though. Miami's roster has traditionally been built around shooting and spacing, and Antetokounmpo's game is still mostly downhill, non-shooting offense. He shot under 22% from 3 last season, so defenses can pack the paint the way they always have against him. Miami will need shooters around him to make that work, and losing Hero, one of their best shot creators, actually makes it harder in year 1, even though they did sign Klay Thompson and Tim Hardaway Jr. But long-term, adding a player of Giannis' caliber is almost always worth the short-term fit friction. But this isn't a plug-and-play addition. The Antetokounmpo trade also reshaped the market for everyone else, and nowhere was that more visible than in Boston. The Celtics reportedly tried to package Jaylen Brown and 2 unprotected first-round picks to Milwaukee for Giannis before the Heat deal came together. When that fell through, Boston pivoted almost immediately, and traded Brown to Philadelphia for Paul George, 2 first-round picks in 2028 and 2031, and 2 second-round picks in 2028 and 2030. According to reporting from ESPN, Brown never actually requested a trade, and the sense around the league is that Boston moved on for him mostly because the front office believed a bridge had already been burned during the Giannis pursuit. On paper, this trade is a downgrade in raw talent for Boston. Brown is younger, was a Finals MVP just 2 years ago, and finished 6th in this year's MVP voting. George is a very good player, but he's 35, coming off a rough 2 years in Philadelphia, and his shot volume at the rim has dropped off substantially. Where Brown attacked the basket at a high rate and shot better than 69% there, George attempted far fewer shots at the rim and shot closer to 56% on those attempts last season. That's a real change in identity for a Boston offense that has leaned on downhill scoring. What Boston does get is more shooting, though. George has been a career 38 to 45% three-point shooter in catch-and-shoot situations depending on the year, which fits cleanly next to Jason Tatum and the rest of Boston's spacing-heavy roster. The 4 picks also give Boston real long-term flexibility, something the team hasn't had while playing a top-heavy roster. For Philadelphia, this is about pairing a third real star with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Even though LeBron did sign with the Sixers, we'll get into that in another episode. Brown gives the Sixers a wing who can create his own shot and finish above the rim, which is something they lacked previously. The concern is health and continuity. Embiid has made significant time in recent seasons, and building continuity between 3 ball-dominant, shot-heavy players takes time. Still, on pure talent, Brown, Maxey, and Embiid is one of the more dangerous trios in the East if they can stay on the floor together. 2 trades, 2 very different rebuilds in motion, and both franchises betting on very different timelines. That's part 1. In part 2, we're covering the 4-team blockbuster that sent LaMelo Ball to Minnesota, the Ja Morant trade to Portland, and the Kawhi Leonard investigation that almost put his trade to Toronto on hold.